Good morning to you all. This is Bill Bullock, and I'm coming to you live again from Biblical Lifestyle Center in Texarkana, Texas, USA. I've been away for a while for the Festival of Sukkot, the great time of tabernacling with the Holy One. I have missed you, and perhaps you could let me know if you've missed me as well. It's been so good to be spending time with the brethren, with the covenant people, to demonstrate the holiness of the Moedim, of the festivals, to enjoy and delight in one another, and most of all, to delight in our King. It is now about the time for us to re-enter the mundane, the normal, the ordinary, and then again, life with the Creator of the universe, life lived in covenant with Him, life lived in relationship with Him can never be really called mundane or ordinary, can it? And so we find out that as the 7 days of the Feast of Tabernacle have wound to a close, sundown last night, it was finally the closing moments of the 7-day Feast of Tabernacles. And yet the Holy One says, but let's don't end this just yet. And so we have an 8th day celebration. This 8th day is not really technically part of Tabernacles. It's something else. It is a foretelling of the great world to come, the Messianic kingdom, and then the ultimate Olam Haba, the world to come. Well, this celebration, this day is unique among all the different special days the Creator has designed. He has tried to portray to us what life is like, what life will be like beyond the normal things of the mundane world. What life will be like when we are immersed in His holiness. What life will be like when we are in His presence. What life will be like whenever we are living in the spirit realm as opposed to the spirit and the flesh realm. Whenever this happens, what will life be like? And how will we act? How will we behave? How will we respond to His presence? He's given us glimpses and pictures, of course. He's given us the imagery of different divine emanations or manifestations when human beings actually interacted with the Creator. He told us the stories of Adam in the Garden of Eden, and that will be the biggest picture we'll ever take of what it will be like in the great Shemini Atzeret, the great day to come, the great day that's coming, the 8th, the days of Mashiach. We'll have this context of living in the presence, before the manifest gaze, before the eyes, and before the beauty of the Creator. That's the picture. He's also given us, of course, prophetic visions by men like Yeshaya, Isaiah, as he's known in the Western world, Moshe, Yohanan, also, of course, Ezekiel, or known as Ezekiel. So many different of the prophets, so many different of the writers have been given these visions of what it's like with the cherubim and the seraphim around the throne of the Holy One, like where His presence emanates into the world, where there's 24 elders and 4 living creatures, and holiness just pervades the atmosphere. And there is no fighting, and there is no war, and there is no sorrow, and there is no sadness, and there is no anger. But instead what we have is a sense of belonging, a sense of purpose, a sense of understanding that all things work together for good for those who love the Holy One and who are called according to His purpose. And so here we are, we're tasting a foretaste. Before we break camp, so to speak, before we leave our Sukkot forever, before we put them away, before we take our lulavs and dismantle them and let them just go ahead and decompose into the earth, before we forget, before we lay aside the 7 days of rejoicing that we've just done with our brothers, before we do all that, He says, one more day. Let me have one more day of your attention. Let me have one more day to focus your attention on what's coming in the future. You have delighted, you've had a foretaste of what the Messianic kingdom will be while celebrating Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles, getting outside the realm of the natural order of things. and getting into the spiritual order of things. But now I want to take you a glimpse, give you a glimpse of things even further in the future, even more precious than the Messianic reign upon the earth. And so here we are on Shemini Atzeret. In Hebrew, it's usually it's called Shemini Atzeret, but in English, it's usually called the 8th day. That's not really an accurate translation. 8th is okay. Shemini in Hebrew is 8. Atzeret, however, is a whole different picture. Atzeret means a closing or a closing ceremony, or a summation, or a conclusion, a grand post-crescendo sequel, an epitaph, or actually an epilogue would be a final briefing, a conclusory briefing that we receive, a conclusory, say goodbye. You know, sometimes if you go to a friend's house or a relative's house for a visit and you get to the end of your prepared, planned time with they come to you with those looks in their eyes and say, oh, would you please stay another day? Would you please spend the night, one more night? You can get up in the morning or whatever you need to do, but spend another night and stay with me once more. I just can't bear to see you leave. We've had too much good times. Well, that's what Shemini Atzeret is all about. The Holy One wants to talk to us. And do we really want to leave His presence? Do we really want to leave the sweetness, the goodness, the holiness of His presence? Well, that's the challenge. But we have this day of separation. It will be a day of celebration first, and then eventually realizing that now we have a mission. Now we have a calling. Now we have to get back into the world and become and act as the representatives of the Holy One's kingdom. To carry the fragrance of Sukkot and of His presence, to carry the energy of the holiness that we've encountered, and the friendliness and the love that we've encountered from our brethren in this world of the covenant, to carry that forward into the world in ways that we've never been able to do before, at a higher level, at a more significant, substantial level, and it's so needed. And I'm aware of, and I presume you are also aware of, if you're alert to what goes on in the world, and particularly to the nation of Israel, where our eyes have been focused for these past 7 days, that just this day, as the sun went down last night, as the morning arose this morning, Israel came under a severe attack. Not the usual, just a few bombs, that's bad enough. A few rockets shot into different places. No, this is a full-scale attack and warfare. And there have been many casualties, and there is much disaster and trauma. It's a hard way to leave the presence of the Holy One, right? It's a difficult way. And yet it's quite a wake-up call to say, but do you understand the times in which we live? Do you understand the world in which we are called to be His representatives? Do you understand there are dangers? Do you understand there are heightened responsibilities in this year, in this coming time that we're going to do? So at Shemini Atzeret, the closing ceremony, the closing moments, the closing briefing, I just call upon you to say, do you know who you are? Do you know whose you are? Do you know why you're here? And do you know what to do? Well, I want to just kind of read this to you from the closing section of the Torah, from Parsha Vezot HaBerachah, the blessing, the final blessing. These are the blessings. Before I close this season and take you off into another realm next week we start with Bereshit, and we begin to re-engage with this beautiful holy text called the Torah. We open the scrolls and we run them back to the beginning, and we start reading with Bereshit bara Elohim. In the shaking out, in the trembling, in the vibrations that were released, the Holy One created. Out of the chaos, basically, the Holy One created. Before we get into that, I want to read you this blessing, because this is the blessing I want to speak over Israel today as it's under attack. Under all, it's not just Israel as a nation or as a geophysical entity. It is all of the covenant people. The war is not against a state. The war is against a people. It is against an idea. It is against a dream. It is against a vision. It is against the will of the Holy One being done on earth as it is in heaven. It is against the kingdom of the heavens, of the Heavenly One coming to earth as it is in heaven. It is against the fixing of the world, the bringing it back into Edenic bliss. It is against the grand plan for the redemption of mankind as a species, bloodline by bloodline, and household by household, and individual by individual, as many as will come. It is against the grand plan for the restoration of creation to its original intended Edenic state of beauty and fruitfulness and shalom. It's against all those things, not just the nation. The nation is just the target. There's just has to be someone that gets attacked. So as we enter that, I want to speak this blessing. Actually, I'm just repeating this blessing, or reading this blessing that Moshe wrote and put into the Torah and made eternal. This is the blessing over Israel. And I will read it from Deuteronomy chapter 34. Deuteronomy chapter 23, beginning with 26. If you will get your Torah and scroll or your Bibles out, if you want to look at Deuteronomy chapter 33, verses 26 through 29, we can share together and read together and enjoy together this blessing over Bnei Israel, over the covenant people, the Holy One, our God. This is how it begins, and I'll read in English. There is no one like the God of Yeshurun. You remember Yeshurun is the code name for Israel. There is no one like the God of Yeshurun, who rides the heavens to help you. May he be riding the heavens to help you right now. Who in his excellency comes on the clouds. May you come on the clouds now. The eternal God is your refuge. Take refuge in him. And underneath you are his everlasting arms. He will thrust out the enemy before you and will say, he's yours to destroy. Then Israel will dwell in safety and security. The fountain of Yaakov will burst forth alone among all the fountains. And it will come in a land of grain and of new wine. Asher, happy are you, O Israel. Be joyful. Rejoice even in your trials and in your warfare. Be happy, O Israel. Be rejoicing, O Israel. Who is like you? A people saved, Yashad, by the Holy One, who God intervenes on behalf of, and who is delivered by and put into a safe place, away from the hardship, by the Holy One. He is the shield of your help. He is Magan Aram, Magan Lach. And he is the sword of your majesty. Your enemies will submit to you. May they submit quickly for their own sake. And you will tread down their high places. May they be delivered into your hand. Beloved, on this Shemini Atzeret, we have much to do, much to celebrate, much to be thankful for, also much to resolve to be engaged with in this world. We are to hate no one. We are to respond to no one in kind. And yet we are to make sure that the covenant lives. The covenant people live. The dream and the plan survive and go on generation after generation after generation. Shemini Atzeret is our day to awaken to the challenges set before us. And as we reopen the scroll next week with Parsha Bereshit, and we begin another journey of connecting with the wisdom and the instructions and the healing and the fixing mechanisms of the Creator of the universe, his plan to redeem the world. As we connect with it week by week through the Parshas of the Torah, may we indeed flow in its beauty and its majesty. May we reflect the goodness and the holiness of our King, and may we bring it to bear on real life situations and real life people in the world. Not with anger, not with wrath, not with cruelty, but with mercy, with grace, but with wisdom. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I'll see you next week, and we will begin Parsha Bereshit in the new cycle of Torah.